understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, January 27th, 2018. I'm Edward O'Hare, nicknamed to be determined.
And I'm Sarah Netzley, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 5 new episodes for you this week.
Yup.
And we just decided off air, we're going to 10 minutes each episode. We're going to be brisk. We're going to be on task.
Yeah, right.
We're not going to spend 10 minutes just yelling, "Damn it, Barry." We're going to power through.
Yeah. Well, at least,
I believe in us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, spoilers. I don't think we're going to be saying "damn it, Barry" much this week.
No, agreed.
But yeah, sure.
I mean, we start every episode with the hope that we're going to be efficient.
Yep. There's so much to get through, though. We'll see what happens. But thanks everyone for coming. For listening. Appreciate that. We do have a couple emails to get to. And one quick shout out, Twitter. Brian Auer at Bauerfett tweeted us this week that he called in. Actually, you know what? We'll save that till Arrow because it's an Arrow spoiler. But he tweeted us something, and we're gonna thank him for the shout out.
And he was right. He called it that thing. Yes. We'll talk about in Arrow.
yes, that I'll explain. But we did get 2 emails this week. One from our buddy Dan Redbeard, who, if you don't know, it's Dan. Dan is a co-host on the Deconstructing Dad podcast, along with Jason over from 7 Days a Geek. Which, if you don't know, is a show about 2 guys talking about being divorced dads. But he was on a lunch break and he sent us a bunch of links for different lists on Screen Rant. Thanks, Dan.
I'm excited to check those out. Those look like some fun ones.
Yeah, that's something definitely to get into in the leaner parts in the summer. And
that was things like what was that? Like the one that stood out to me was the sexiest Arrowverse villains.
Yes, Arrowverse villains. 17 CWDC Easter eggs that were never resolved. Interesting stuff to look into.
Yeah, that'll be a fun deep dive sometime when we don't have any episodes.
Hey, yeah, but so that's how he spent his lunch hour that day on last Wednesday, and we appreciate that. Also, quick little if you haven't heard, Gotham Lights, the Gotham Lights podcast, for the next couple months is turning into the Orville Lights. And they've been recapping episodes of the Orville just because, well, they like that show, and they found I like that show too. So I was the guest this week on the most recent episode of Orville Lights. You can find that on the Gotham Lights feed, and we talked about an episode where Bortus, Lieutenant Commander Bortus, and his partner had a baby girl, and since there are no girls in their society, wanted to have a sex change. That was a lot of fun.
And I like that show too, and I will be on an upcoming episode as well.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. But in relation to that, Agent Palmer, who is I don't know if it's where, but he and Steph are going steady. I guess he listened to the show because he has to, and also because he likes to, because he listens to everything. He sent us an email quick. Ed, I listened to your appearance on Orville Lights and have a question for you. As deep as your Trek knowledge is, are there any direct episodes, plot lines, etc., that you would like to see the Orville tackle? Sarah, your thoughts are encouraged as well. Palmer out.
Oh, the game. I was obsessed with the game.
Oh.
The next gen episode of the game.
Oh,
I would love to see whatever that would look like on the Orville. Holy cow.
Yeah. There's a Voyager version of that with like Michael McKean as this insane clown that it was like one of the scariest things I'd ever seen on television.
I don't know if I need to find that and watch that immediately, or if I need to never ever expose myself to that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff out there. But I don't know. Like in the later half of Orville, you see it break into its own storyline. Like there's one episode they did on social media that didn't directly reference any Star Trek that I can think of, and seemed really genuine. And I'd like to see them tackle more original stuff.
It felt like a Black Mirror episode. It kind of reminded me of a couple of different Black Mirror episodes, but done with an interesting spin with characters we know. It was a great episode.
Yeah. But that's a good show. I mean, that show has kept me sated enough that I haven't dipped into Discovery yet, which I need to do like now.
I finished watching a Discovery episode 20 minutes ago. So.
Oh, okay. All right. How is it?
I like it. It feels maybe a little bit. I'm trying to think how I can say this. I'm a fan of Star Trek, but I'm not an Ed level super fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe this is a show that is good for people who like the tropes and the genre of space travel. And so it does a lot of those kind of fun, big things, but that maybe Star Trek purists aren't as happy with. But I like it. I don't mind the re-envisioned Klingons, and I like some of the things that they've done. Something happened on this one I just watched that I really, if we could go more quickly so I can get to the next one to see if it's a permanent thing that happened, because that thing happened. Are you kidding? So I hope I'm vague enough for everybody. But no, I enjoy it. I very much like the lead woman.
Shaniqua Martin Green.
Martin Green. Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's fantastic. I enjoyed that perspective on the show, and the supporting cast. Jason Isaacs is this. He's so oily and you can't trust him, and he's a leader, but he's got this jerk streak. And there's a lot of, and Doug Jones is always delightful in his alien incarnations. So I cannot wait until you start watching it, because I really want to hear what you think, because I don't know if the super Star Trek fan is going to go all in or be a little like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I saw the first, the episode that aired on CBS, which is like the first half of the pilot. You know, I liked a lot of it, but just there's two hangups with me that just keep getting me, which is that it's a prequel again, which I've had enough of prequels from Star Trek, because, you know, like we haven't moved forward since Voyager, which was when I was in 7th grade. And the mission statement for Star Trek is to boldly go where no one has gone before. And all we've kept doing is boldly going to all the places we've already seen. And
we can't even keep track of that, because JJ keeps screwing up the continuity. So.
Yeah. I would just like a little bit of forward progress here.
Well, I will say, again, I don't want to say too much, but the show itself launches into a little bit different direction after the CBS episode. Yeah. And there's some technology that I feel like we should have heard about, and maybe we have. And again, this is my more casual fan approach to it. Yeah. So wait, they have Orville Lights. We have DC TV and Star Trek Report.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah. I hear episode 3 is like a second pilot.
Yeah, it really is. And I was really excited about the direction it went, and I've enjoyed it very much. I like a lot of the supporting cast.
Yeah. And the other hang up for me is just the Klingons, because I don't understand why if you're setting them in the past, why would you do a redesign like that? Like those look like really cool aliens, and I want to learn more about their race, but those are not Klingons.
Well, and I've found my interest in the show decreases in inverse proportion to the increase in Klingon screen time. Like the more Klingons are yelling at each other in Klingon, the less engaged I am. And there is a lot of Klingon on Klingon yelling.
Fun fact, my mother used to work as a copy editor, and it was her job to assign someone to proofread the Klingon English dictionary.
That is awesome. Please tell her we are one of her customers. I found my husband's Klingon to English dictionary in the garage a couple of years ago and was just like, I knew what you were when I married you, and you have proven yourself today to be exactly who I knew you were. So mark him as a satisfied customer. Please let her know.
Okay. I just remember thinking, like, how are you going to know the spelling errors?
Internal consistency in world building is tantamount.
But yeah. So all right. So that's it for the emails. I think time we dig straight into the episodes.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So let's kick it off with Lucifer. You want to start or should I?
Sure, I'll go ahead. Season 3, episode 12, All About Her. Lucifer learned that Pierce, aka Kane, has been orchestrating this season's events because he wants to die. After misunderstanding Chloe's frustrations with him, Lucy tried being super nice to her, hoping Chloe would help him investigate Pierce. Chloe and Dan investigated the murder of a pro surfer on a snazzy private beach. Ella tried to toughen up after getting yelled at by Pierce last episode. Amenadiel found out he has chlamydia, and Dr. Linda felt bad about seeing him behind Maze's back. Last minute reveal, Lucifer convinced Pierce to make a deal to let Lucy try to find a way to kill him.
Wow.
That was a busy episode.
Yeah, there was a lot going on here. And for this one, I actually found the whodunit to be much more interesting than usual.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was incredibly throwaway this week.
Oh, it was throwaway, but it just I liked the whole idea of underground surfing culture in LA.
I am so landlocked, I can't even wrap my head around a surfer gang. Like gangs of surfers that run around choking people out? Surfer gang. Like, get off my beach. This is my beach. Beat it, surfer. I don't understand.
Well, that's what I liked about it. It was so unique. Much more different than, industrial.
That's true. Another club kid killed or another.
Or industrial espionage in the pudding industry.
Yeah, I still haven't had pudding since that episode.
No.
I liked it. Introduced me to the paddle out ceremony. That is an actual thing that has been practiced for decades and decades and decades and decades. And I thought it was really lovely. And it was kind of a cool way. They didn't preach about it like, we honor people by paddling out. And they just did it. And they sort of were nonchalant about it. And it made me Google it. And I hope I'm not the only one who learned a little more about this ancient Polynesian tradition.
And you were talking last week about how Detective Dan needs to be topless more often. And we'll ask and you shall receive.
I know, that was so crazy. It made me wonder if the Men's Fitness article was timed because, he'd been getting in shape for his big surfer episode, but it was really fun. It was like they heard my pleas and said, here, Sarah Netsley, shirtless Dan.
Yeah. And it feels like everyone else in this episode was just reacting to Pierce.
Yeah, this is true. I will say, now that we know Pierce's motivation, I like him so much better. I feel like there's going to be clarity in his performance as an actor and in that character that will probably make for better forward momentum than I think he had to be so mysterious that it made his characterization kind of muddy. So I'm hoping from here on out, we can enjoy Tom Welling a little more than at least I have been.
Yeah, and I feel like this episode, this feels like the start of a season. Like it just feels like we were treading water the first half of the season, and now like we're getting going, and like you see the direction, and once he, in that 90-second flashback where he fit all the pieces from the premiere into, it's like, okay, why couldn't this have been like episode 3 instead of 12?
Yeah, I think it was stretched out a little much, and I still think the Sinnerman I still don't quite understand what his role and end game was, and I guess he went rogue, but why? And whatever, let's just brush past that. I really liked I liked Pierce telling Lucifer, yeah, go ahead and tell the world I'm Kane. They don't even believe you're the devil. I liked him calling that bluff. But I liked also the way when Lucifer realized Kane had engineered the shooting on the ranch to try to get himself killed in Chloe's presence. And Lucifer immediately was like, you put her in danger, which I think so clearly distinguishes the relationship he has with her versus Pierce has with her. That was a nice little character moment. But explain this to me. Why didn't Kane, why the subterfuge? Why can't Kane walk up behind Chloe and just like shoot himself in the head? And see, why pretend to be a police detective and get assigned to her precinct and get somebody else to shoot him? Can he not just kill himself in her presence to see if it takes? Did I miss some loophole?
Well, I think it's also because if he tries that and it doesn't work, there's a lot of explaining to do.
Upsetting for Chloe. Ugh, fine.
Yeah. And Amenadiel has chlamydia.
Well, it was a false positive.
Yes, or he had chlamydia.
But also, what I think is kind of interesting, was he actually sick? Because the doctor called back and said, oh, it was a false positive. Oh, okay, haha, I guess I had this awkward conversation with all these women for nothing. But if he was actually sick for the first time in his existence, does that mean something? Will we circle back to that? Does that mean a bigger ripple in the celestial design, or is it just a throwaway joke thing?
I don't know. It might just be a throwaway joke.
It felt like one of those things I may have been overthinking, but when you have a show about gods and angels and demons and things, and one of them gets sick after millennia of perfect health, surely somebody out there is going to say, but wait, is it because of Dr. Linda's dirty touch?
I don't know. No.
No, I would never. I love Dr. Linda. I would never.
No, and if it was Dr. Linda, then she definitely got it from Lucifer.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
But even then, I feel like Dr. Linda she'd take precautions. She's a smart lady. She knows the score.
Yeah. Also, a big thanks to my mom, who didn't have quite a severe reaction when I called downstairs writing this recap asking her how to spell chlamydia.
Honey, it's C-H, Alan. No, why are you asking? No, who is she? What's her name, Edward?
Evidently, my dad had been watching the show at the same time downstairs. So he got a big kick out of it.
Okay, how sad was Subdued Ella? How much did that hurt your heart?
Oh, honey.
I know, it was awful.
Like, I'm surprised Charlotte didn't just throw the coffee in his face.
Yeah, I loved Mama Bear Charlotte because those two have been sort of an odd couple this season when they've interacted, and I really adored her just sort of storming up to Pierce and Pierce being like, "I'm sorry, have we met?" No, but you're a monster. So I'm thrilled with how they're using with Charlotte this season. I'm enjoying the way she's mixing with the main cast, and if I broke every time some man told me how to be, I would have been nothing. But look at me now in this entry-level DA job.
Yeah, and so I mean, do you think and I did like that moment that she did have with Pierce at the end where he's just came forward hey, I was a jerk.
Yeah. And for him to say, I was in a bad place, I took it out on you, and he let her hug him, and I mean, just it was a nice way to make things up, and I think we have our Ella back, thank goodness.
Yeah. Now speaking of chemistry or lack thereof, how awkward were Chloe's scenes with Pierce this week?
So awkward. I do not understand what she sees in him. I don't understand this stammering. You shouldn't go. You should stick around because Dan would miss you. I don't see it at all. It baffles me. They just, and again, I think now that we know what his purpose is, he can play it a little more straightforward, and maybe that will help. Although Death Wish guy doesn't seem like the best romantic hero. A million romance novels would probably prove me wrong. But I still don't buy that relationship at all. Do I have blinders on?
No. Yeah, no, it's weird. I feel shoehorned. It feels like we want to have some kind of love triangle, but the other thing that's weird is like he's, it feels like he's completely ignoring her, which doesn't seem like he's playing hard to get. It seems like he has no interest in her. So,
and it frustrates me that she keeps pursuing him. There's hard to get, there's Mr. Mysterious, and then he is not into you. And when we see Lucifer say, wait, you got yourself shot next to Chloe to try to die, it's not just playing hard to get. He really has no regard for her well-being. That's not fun, sexy bad boy. That's just dude who doesn't care. So yeah, I still don't buy that as a proper love triangle.
We'll see. All right. Anything more on this episode?
Nothing, and we don't even have any news for the week on Lucifer. So it's just next week is the undercover episode with Married, Pierce, and Lucifer, and I'm really looking forward to that.
All right. On to Supergirl. Season 3, Episode 11, Fort Roz. Fort Roz was discovered orbiting a blue dwarf star, and Kara traveled there on the Legion ship with Imra, Livewire, and Psi to gather intel to fight Rain. Brainiac 5 felt very hampered by the DEO's primitive 2017 tech. Alex babysat Ruby and helped her deal with a bully, while Sam started to realize she has huge gaps in her memory. Last minute reveal, just when we were wondering who the other world killers might be, a random woman in National City was hit by a car and pushed it off her without a scratch.
I have a horrible confession. The first thing I thought when that car slammed into that world killer and she pushed it off herself was, oh, this is how we found out that Edward Cullen was special in Twilight. And then I turned into a teenage girl. So, yeah, this reminded me of Twilight, which is a terrible way to introduce my thoughts on an episode, which I really, really enjoyed. The Lady Power strut when they all in slow motion walk toward the spaceship to go tackle Fort Roz. I loved it so much.
Yeah. And Livewire had a great arc in this episode and such a heartbreaking ending.
It really was. I didn't care much. I mean, Livewire was fun. She was a fun villain, but she wasn't one that I particularly was like, ooh, I can't wait till she comes back. But they really made that death count. They really made that sacrifice resonate.
Yeah. And and this is one of those things where like I kind of hope it sticks.
Yeah. You have to have stakes. I mean, you have to, if death isn't permanent anywhere, then it doesn't matter ever as a threat. And I think it's going to stick. I do. I think that,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I loved seeing Psi again. She is a villain I was looking forward to seeing again.
Yeah.
And I thought she was equally fun, and the hint of, is it vulnerability and inability to control her abilities, or can we not trust her? I liked the little uncertainty. If they want to bring her back anytime, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And, I thought it was interesting. Like, we're going to bring her along, but we're going to completely hamper her powers. And it's like,
yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
There was a lot of just go with it science this week. Oh, it's fatal to men. Okay, we'll go with it. And I think there was a comic book explanation for Blue Star, Y chromosome.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. That's definitely from the comics.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, it's poisonous to males. That's not a science thing. That's definitely from the comics.
But it was just one of those things that, I could try to figure it out, or I could just say, has to be all ladies. This is why we have Brainy tormenting Wynn on Earth.
Yeah.
Not traveling with them.
Speaking of which, it kind of interesting. I did like how this episode developed Brainiac 5. However, I feel like in this episode, his makeup looked more like it was only half put on.
Yeah, I feel the same way. His skin tone looked a little toned down. I did see some speculation, not from anybody who is in the know, just kind of fan speculation online, that it's possible if he decides to stick around Earth a little bit longer term, could he give himself a little bit of a makeover to fit in better? And, tone down some of that. And I almost wondered if that was happening this week, that they're like, oh, he looked like a cadaver in that episode. Let's take out the shades of blue a little bit. I actually didn't like him as much this week. I thought he was really quite bull in a china shop arrogant about everything. And I get that he is he's not fully human, and so he's not going to be quite as sensitive. And he actually does say, insensitive in that first episode we met him. Mm-hmm. But I liked that it gave Winn a chance to kind of be downtrodden before rising up and being the guy who saves the day with Voyager 2. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what the point was for that.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of, put Brainiac in his place. Like, okay, the tech is primitive here, but, if you learn to work with the tools you have, you can actually achieve a lot. And I think that this was some humble pie being served up to Brainiac.
But if they're trying to get us to like him, it was a dangerous little gambit, I think.
Yeah. So
soon after, it's fine. I mean, I'm still enjoying the new people. I like that we got to see more of Imra this week. Mm-hmm. She continues to develop beyond, like that Mon-El love triangle.
Yeah.
Point. Sarah Douglas as Jinda Al-Raz.
Yeah, that was nice little scene.
She was such a ham. I loved it. Such a great villain speech.
yeah, and I like that she was there and then she wasn't. Like it's this is someone we're gonna learn a lot from, and they kind of had the the classic "no, the killer is" moment.
That was kind of jerky on Rain's part, though. Like,
oh yeah,
she's offering to help you, Rain. You need to maybe be nicer to your allies.
She doesn't need her help. She's doing just fine.
Although I think we have come a step closer to Kara learning who Rain is. Because, she has that confession to Alex at the end. I don't know. I'm losing time. I don't know what happened. So, Alex is going to jump in and try to help her figure it out. So you're going to involve Kara. So I'm thinking we're even closer than we thought to finding out who Rain is. And I wouldn't actually be surprised, and this is just me speculating, but next week's episode, or this week's, depending on when you listen to it, well, whenever you listen to it, this week's episode coming up is going to be the second mid-season finale, if that makes sense. It's going to take a break for several weeks to let Legends slot in and run for a little bit. So I could see Kara learning about Sam/Rain as the next cliffhanger we have. That makes sense to me from a beat perspective.
Definitely.
Let's see. Before I forget, I have always liked Mon-El. I'm not one of those. I know he's so divisive among the fandom, but I have never liked him better than that end speech. When he came out on the balcony, I was like, oh my God, is this going to be another one of those, like, Kara, I know you still have feelings for me. And it's so, but thank God, no. He bucked her up with talk about Livewire, telling her, you changed her heart for the better. You did it without the yellow sun. That was all you. Oh, that was so nice. It's the theme of Supergirl, and to have Mon-El say it, and it wasn't about their relationship. It was about Kara and who she is as a superhero, and I loved it so much.
Yep. Yeah. And what'd you think of the Alex Ruby story?
Okay, was that legal? to go be like, yeah, so I'm gonna arrest you.
Well, as long as her parents don't find out.
I mean, even if it wasn't like technically even ethical, it was really satisfying.
Well, the thing is, she's not really an FBI agent, so
it's really not.
So they get at the FBI, it's like Agent Danvers. I don't know what that's about. But no, I thought that was cute. I think it's interesting because I feel like Alex should have been on that spaceship.
And I think that's probably why they broke her leg last episode. So we had a reason to have to recruit, because if you have the three of them, if you have Kara, Imra, and Alex, that might be enough of a lady team. So you have to have Alex down for the count.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's, I thought that was fun.
Ruby as a child on TV doesn't bother me. Some kids are
No.
worse than others. William on Arrow, we'll talk about him. But Ruby, I don't mind actually. So
No, she's not annoying. She's not grating, which, at that point, yeah, that's all you need. And cool. Any news for Supergirl this week?
Two little bits of news. One is Amy Jackson, who plays Imra, says that there is more to her marriage to Mon-El than meets the eye, kind of like the Transformers. And she promises that there's going to be a twist coming up very soon that's going to be revealed. So no other information there, but we could learn more about the marriage.
Okay.
Yep. And there's a casting call that has gone out for Finhead, which indicates that the show is looking for Kalanorians, which indicates what, my friend Ed?
Despero.
And that means what to non-comic people?
Oh, he's this red guy with a fin head, and he's an evil space villain. Used to go up against Hawkman all the time, and yeah. So yeah, just someone from space. If Despero's coming, I wouldn't be surprised. That means like Lobo might not be far off. But
is he a big space wolf?
What?
Is Lobo a big space wolf?
No, Lobo is an intergalactic biker.
I actually am vaguely familiar with him.
Yes.
I'm not sure how or why.
Yeah, he's a Zarnian. He's been into stuff. He was really he had a couple of great episodes in the cartoon. That he's kind of like, similar to like Deadpool in the way where like, hardcore DC fans really, really love him just because, he curses a lot and he doesn't really care. Well,
I look forward to Ryan Reynolds somehow also playing him in the future.
Yeah. Oh, no. This is like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Like if Jeffrey Dean Morgan was not already Thomas Wayne, he would be a dead ringer for Lobo.
Keep saying things like that. I like that.
Yeah. Just, put like a black mane, turn his skin sheet white and his eyes red, and he's Lobo. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's it for Supergirl this week.
All right. On to the Flash.
All right. Season 4, episode 11, The Elongated Night Rises. Barry made the most of prison life and befriended Big Sir, a tough guy who knew Barry's dad. Young Trickster's mom, Prank, broke him out of Iron Heights, and Ralph found that being a superhero is not as easy as it looks. Last minute reveal, the mystery girl from the wedding bought Cisco and Ralph coffee and wrote notes in a very strange looking language.
I liked this episode.
So much.
Yes.
All is forgiven after that whole trial debacle. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen, Flash. You made up for it with the campy villains, everything about Ralph, even Barry in the world's cleanest, most telegenic prison was tolerable.
Hey, there was must. There was like a dirty gray day for night filter on there.
I expected them to start snapping, when you're a jet all the way. I mean, that was that level of like prison yard tough.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Bill Goldberg's there.
I enjoyed him. He was very menacing. The funny thing is we had just seen him in an episode of The Goldbergs, the 80s sitcom, and we looked him up and we're very confused because his name was Goldberg and he was in The Goldbergs. And so when we saw him on this, Jason was like, "Oh, my husband, it's Bill Goldberg from The Goldbergs." And it was there you go. Okay, but for me the highlight was Hartley Sawyer, aka Ralph Dibney, doing an amazing Bruce Campbell groovy. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And maybe there's something about having a fairly a rookie superhero out of his element that I really liked this episode. That him coming into his own.
Well, and we've seen Barry as the rookie superhero coming into his own, but Barry is so earnest and good-hearted, and it's so fun to see Ralph, who is the anti-Barry, trying to figure things out. And so when he actually does, sacrifice himself, or so he thinks, for his friends to save them from the Oh, it wasn't acid. It was.
Yeah, it was acid.
Well, they had a brand name for it. Acrid.
Oh, I yeah.
Something. Yeah, I didn't write it down. Anyway, but yeah, when he goes out of his way to what he thinks is going to probably destroy himself, you see that growth and you're so pleased, and then he goes back to being his usual cocky self, and it's great. Now, I will say, were you disappointed in the suit reveal?
No. I mean, I you know what? After the previous suit, anything was going to be an improvement. So
this is true.
I mean, it's not quite,
my husband enthusiastically booed. He really wanted that 70s deep V lace up belted leotard. Like nothing but that was going to do for him. He was super disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of had that. I mean, it didn't have that like super bright purple and white motif. No, but I mean that worked for me.
No, but I like it. It's of course it's not going to be the 70s deep V look. Yeah. So I'm glad that he looks a little more professional, and I really do. I like Ralph. I know he is intentionally causes friction with the team, and I think some fans aren't big fans, but I like him a lot. And did you love the callback to the 1991 Flash?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they got they got they got Corinne Bohrer, who played Zoe Clark, or AKA Prank, and I love when they
used the pictures.
Yeah, they used the stills from that episode. I mean, you understand why Mark Hamill's not in this episode.
He's busy making Star Wars.
But his presence is still felt. And you see that he really is a deadbeat. And this was their interactions between Axel and Zoe really harkened back to 60s Batman in the best way.
Yeah, that was some fun camp.
Yeah.
And I thought this was awfully cute, but Mark Hamill on Twitter was really supportive and really excited and talking up Corinne's appearance and how proud he was of his boy. And I enjoyed the support from afar. I love how he loves his comic book connections.
Oh yeah. And that's one thing, like Mark Hamill is like the original fanboy. Like he, like if you hear his interview, he did 2 2-hour episodes of Fat Man on Batman with Kevin Smith, like in the early parts of that podcast. And you realize like he was the guy before the internet who was going to the library to look up the history of animated TV shows from the 50s. Really, really like deep-breaded fan. To see that he really appreciates these characters and he feels that history. And I thought that's always really cool to see. But I love that interaction. I like these types of villains, and I know it's a one-off. And it seems like that's the trend of TV today, is that we don't have as many standalone episodes. You've got to have the season-long story arc. But I wouldn't mind if we had more episodes like this from The Flash.
Well, when the villains are this fun, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And they've really had good standalone villains this season. I've liked the metas from the bus for the most part. Yeah, really good. We also had the Bebo cameo. Bebo loves getting clean is the saddest thing I've ever heard right before Bebo gets melted by acid.
Bebo feel ouchy.
Oh, Bebo.
Would you buy your child a Bebo doll?
Never.
No.
Anything that talks like that is just, it feels like it's going to be irritating. It might start talking on its own at night. It might be possessed by the spirit of whatever it is that possesses Chucky. You just can't trust it. So there's a lot of reasons to not let Bebo into your house.
All right. And we saw a little bit more of Mystery Girl.
Yes, we did. That looked like an interesting language she was writing. And it doesn't look like it didn't look like, I never understand language like that. And I guess this is a very like Western thing for me to say, but it just seems like a lot of work and a lot of okay, I'm going to stop talking about made up alien languages.
Yeah. Well, it's some kind of weird characters, runes, very symmetrical. So I don't know what's going on there. But I mean, even if she's from the future, she's not from the near future.
Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
Or if she's from the near future, she spent a lot of time not in the near future.
Yeah. Now, seeing this episode, did you want to see more of a flashback of Big Sur and Henry Allen hanging out on the prison yard?
I mean, I always would support more John Wesley Shipp. So sure, yeah. When they were young punks striding around the prison yard, menacing everybody with their sort of blonde good looks. Yeah, I could see that.
Here we go. All right. Any news from Flash this week?
Tiny bit of news. Iris is going to suit up as a speedster when she gets temporary powers. No details on how she gets it, how temporary it is, or when exactly that's going to happen. But she is going to get a super suit, which is cool. And this leads to a grand theory that comic book resources suggested. Grand theory, Iris is pregnant. And we know this because in the courtroom scene, she was able to move fast with Barry, and neither of them was sure how she was able to pull that off. The fetus could give her temporary speedster powers. Barry's gibberish when he returned from the Speed Force included, "We need more diapers." We thought it meant Celeste, but it could be his own child. We have been seeing Mystery Girl, who, I mean, we're pretty sure that's a West Allen relative of some sort. I don't actually know. I don't really particularly want Iris to be pregnant. I don't know that I want to see a baby in the Star Labs lair. But, fetus lending powers would not be the first time we've seen that. It would be a thing that they could do. I don't really want them to, but
yeah. I think you could leave a little bit of time before you get to the kids.
Yeah. You don't have to get pregnant immediately after the honeymoon, especially when your husband gets locked up for murder almost immediately. So, just family planning, space it out, man. He's in prison.
All right. So moving on to Black Lightning. Season 1, Episode 2, LaWanda, The Book of Hope. Jefferson struggled over whether he should keep his promise to Lynn that his Black Lightning days are over. LaWanda, a Garfield parent whose daughter was forced to turn tricks at the Seahorse Motel, begged Jefferson to help and parked herself at the motel, looking to confront Lala. Anissa and Jennifer each had a "what's wrong" moments with their significant others, and last-minute reveal, Tobias White just waltzed into a police station and choked Lala to death.
Man, I did not expect that.
How about the fact that Lala is still alive after getting harpooned in the chest last episode?
That dude is tough.
I thought he was dead. And like Sadie showed up, I'm like, wait a minute, did I miss something? but yeah, and I think this is a lot of times they say the best way to judge a TV show is not by the pilot but by the second episode.
Sure.
And I think this we're still heading strong in the right direction here.
Agreed. I super love that it shows the different layers of leadership that Jefferson has. The way the people in the community look up to him just as a man, and then the leadership, of course, as Black Lightning. But I really like the character that he is. He's a good person, which sounds kind of silly, but he already has the standing in the community. I guess when you compare him to like an Oliver Queen who struggles with his role as the mayor, and it feels like he's sort of the Don Rickles, he gets no respect. Like everybody looks to Jefferson Pierce, and I like the way he carries that weight on him. He also has an amazing "I will destroy you" face when he's not in costume and he comes striding up. At one point in this episode, I was just like, dang, that's a great "do not step" face. So well done.
yeah. And we got to learn a little bit more about his first dalliance as Black Lightning. We got to see a couple flashbacks. What did you think about the if he seems like Lynn this whole episode was just kind of like sullen the whole time because she knew that he was back and he wasn't admitting it, and like
I like that character, and I like the actress. She was in one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes, so I am predisposed to like her. But I am worried that if her role is going to be as the scold, don't do that. Her reasons for it are sound. You know, I don't want you to die. Our children need a father.
Yeah.
But I worry that she's going to get the Skylar White treatment, which is everybody blames her for being the one who keeps him back from greatness. On the other hand, Black Lightning does good things for the community where Walter White.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? And I think it's the same here. Like, you know, you're right. You know, she is the party pooper, but she's right.
She's right. She's the one who's in the right. And yet I find myself like, oh, come on, lighten up.
Well, I mean, right.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even know, because he has a point too. She's not wrong. Let's put it that way. Like, her perspective is justified. And very much I felt like Skylar, everyone hated her, even though you knew like Skylar was right.
Yes, she was.
Skylar was not the evil, despicable human being in this scenario. God,
the power of the anti-hero, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. What did you feel about the scene where Lynn showed up at Gamby's tailor shop and they had their little spot?
Ooh, I liked that. I enjoyed that very much. Although I did find myself getting a little confused because we had watched The Kingsman 2 not long ago, and I don't know, there was just something about a tailor. I was like, I wonder if are we going to see Colin Firth or no? But no, I really enjoyed that. I kind of liked the battle for her husband's soul there.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the fact that in this economy, that guy can keep a small business like that up and running.
Right? A tailor, good for you, making it in the bespoke suit market. Well done.
There we go. You know, so I mean, that shows he's got a head on his shoulders. But it is also weird because you see Gamby, and you know, and he calls him out on this. He really has a one-track mind. He's more like, hey, like, this is, I don't know why we're futzing around here. There's no argument to be made. This has to be done, like, now. You know, and he's not seeing Lynn's side of it, which was interesting. You know, yeah. But
they killed that nice mother. I didn't really. I mean, like, I thought maybe she'd be in danger, but I didn't really see that coming. I remember in the lead up to this show, the showrunners promised there were going to be real stakes and real casualties that you would really feel. And they were not kidding.
Oh yeah, no. To me, the second that she started speaking up at that parents' meeting.
Oh, did you know?
I was like, oh no. I saw the whole thing. I was like, oh no, she's gonna get really upset, and she's gonna confront someone, and she's gonna get shot in the face.
Well, you went right to shot in the face?
Well, she ended up getting, to be fair, she ended up getting shot in the chest. Because it's network TV. We've got to draw the line somewhere. But yeah, you know, I you know, it was really sad. I liked, you know, how they established that Jefferson has this relationship, you know, and it's also kind of like he's been teaching long enough that he's teaching his former students' kids. You know, so this is, you know, he's not a young whippersnapper.
Yes.
You know, but also that he has this relationship with, you know, with not just Luana, but a lot of the parents at his school. You know,
which gets back to my whole thing about how I enjoy his role in the community and his relationship to the people in the community, because he does have, as you say, decades and decades of trust and looking to him for guidance and leadership. And yeah, I'm still really digging this different vibe. It's more serious, it's more grounded, and it's just more adult. And yet we also then have the side storyline of his daughter discovering her power and flipping a dude in the pharmacy and being surprised, but also quite pleased about it. So I like, we're kind of getting best of both worlds.
Yeah. Jennifer. Oh, honey. So she got a boyfriend, Khalil, this week. That's not the most awkward way I've seen a guy ask a girl out. It's not.
It wasn't great, but
no, I'd give that a C+. I mean, he closed the deal. But I feel like immediately, like the very next time that he sees her, he's all like, "You're a mess." But yeah, and Anissa, that was a hot and heavy scene. With her girlfriend, Keisha, and is it Keisha? No, Keisha's Jen's friend. I wasn't seeing that before, but yeah. So they're laying Anissa's story out little by little. But we are getting there. And there was something else that was on here that I wanted to. Oh, that was the thing. I didn't notice Black Lightning did not show up in costume until more than 50 minutes into this.
I was going to say, it felt like it was the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, like, and it felt earned, and you didn't miss it.
Yeah.
And I think that's very unique for a superhero show, especially early on. You'd think like we'd have to flaunt him and get him out there as much as possible, but they held back, and it worked. And that one scene did have a huge impact.
Yeah, agreed. I was in exactly the same position where oh God, we hadn't seen that suit. And then I looked at the time and was like, oh God, they really, I mean, usually you want to say, hey, superhero, here, look, superheroics, flashy tricks. And they did not do that at all. And I didn't miss it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And now, do you think Lala is actually dead this time?
I do, actually. This does not strike me as a show that's going to pull a lot of, we thought he was dead. Psych. Here he is. I think that's going to stick.
All right.
It's a great way to pull the rug out from under people. You kind of expected him to be the antagonist there, and surprise.
All right. And do we have any news for Black Lightning?
Tiny little bit of news. We had a first look at Jill Scott as the owner of a local funeral home. Her name is Lady Eve. She also is a member of Cobra Cult. And if I may, in this photo, she's wearing just a lot of necklaces in the embalming room. It just feels like there's going to be a lot of moving parts in there, and you might not want to wear dangling things that could be caught in like a pump that is removing or adding fluid to a cadaver. But I don't know. I'm not in the funeral industry. Who am I to judge a woman's,
You can't hamper that style. You can't.
Accessorizing. It did look really good. It just looked really fancy for embalming. So I'm looking forward to that. I like her quite a bit. And I think there's such great female characters already in this show. And so if she's going to come in to be a lady bad guy, yeah, that's cool.
Cool. All right. One show to go.
All right. Arrow, Season 6, Episode 11, We Fall. Caden James hacked the city's infrastructure and held the city ransom for $10 million a day. William learned Oliver lied to him about getting back in the suit and sat quiet in the bunker listening to Felicity tell Oliver he needed to talk to William. Vigilante started slipping info to the B team, saying he was a double agent, and Curtis, Renee, and Dinah didn't know if they could trust him. Last minute reveal, after running out of options, Oliver told Thea to wire James the first $10 million. Okay, so here's my thing. All I heard was Michael Emerson introduce himself as Ben Gale, and I screamed and screamed and screamed and just shut down. Like, that's what I took away from this episode, was he said his name was Ben Gale. That was for Lost fans. Nothing else matters. So, because of course he was Ben Linus, and his fake name on there was Henry Gale, so he was Ben Gale, and it was, those of you who didn't like Lost didn't probably care that much, but yeah.
It's always fun to have those little Easter eggs in there.
It was so obvious and it was so sledgehammery, and I don't care. I was there for it. Ben game. Okay. We can talk about the rest of the episode now.
Yeah. So yeah, Kate, I mean, here we see Caden James, like he just destroyed this city. Like Star City.
He did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, straight up, also like the councilman walks out to his car and just sees the whole thing TP'd. And it's what people, I saw people on Twitter going like, who TPs a car? And I don't know, maybe it's a Northeast or a New York thing, but I saw that and went, wow, how much of a jerk is he? Like, what did he do? What did he say to those kids? Because the only people who TP your car are like, people under 15. You really have to take them off for that action. Like he must have ran over one of their dogs or something like that. But yeah, but I mean, you didn't have to worry about it very long.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, that was a brutal start. Poor Pike. We hardly knew you.
Yeah, which is a little why I felt a little weird that everyone was getting so. I mean, it's tragic, but I feel like they made a big deal of him, and he wasn't that major of a character.
No, you are correct. He did a couple of things, but honestly, last season when I was recapping Arrow for EW, I swear I had to look his name up every time because he didn't do much to stick with me from week to week. So I was always like, oh, what's that guy's? Oh, yeah, Pike. Yeah. Okay, so in past seasons, I wouldn't have ever said this, but I feel like people are being really mean to Oliver, and he doesn't deserve it this time. People need to back up off of Oliver a little bit. And in the past, I would never have said that because usually he was hiding something or behaving in stupid ways, but he genuinely is trying his best here, and he's trying to be honest. And I just like everybody needs to calm down about Oliver.
Well, I did also think it was very funny where like Felicity and Diggle are giving him, he's like, you got to talk to William. You got to talk to William. He's right there. He can hear you.
William understands when you talk, right?
William it's not like he's even in another room. He's 10 feet away. 10 feet away, drawing with everything but crayons. Like that was the one thing. Like it literally said, okay, sit here, kid, here's some markers, do what you can, just zone out.
So I loved when the school bus came under duress, William evacuating people and Growl yelling like his dad does, like, get off the bus. It was great. I have this picture. This is my real person fanfic of Stephen Amell working with that actor to be like, okay, I want you to sound like me. So I want you to, when you yell it, like Growl, yell it. And it totally paid off. Aw, he's his father's son.
Yeah.
I thought it was super cool of Oliver that he immediately wanted to loop in the B team. Like, no questions, immediately said, we need to tell them. And that they shared information. And I mean, I am so glad we didn't have weeks of, we can't tell them, they betrayed us. But they really did start information sharing and working together kind of. So I was really pleased about that, which again is why everybody who's just like, we're not there yet. And we don't, oh my God. So.
Yeah, well, it's also if anything, the B team withheld.
Yeah.
Because one, Curtis didn't tell them initially that he got the info from Vigilante, and none of them told Oliver or Felicity that they got that info from Vigilante. Which I think when he switches sides in the middle of that battle, Oliver and Diggle have got to be like, what's going on here?
Yeah, they probably information they should have been informed of before. Yeah, I mean, I understand it's a dicey situation, but I don't know. If you see Vigilante, maybe don't shoot him on sight. Might have been nice. Also for Vigilante, just saying. And this is where we need to call out Brian Auer.
Yes, yeah, Brian Auer at Bowerfett on
Twitter.
Yes, on Twitter, tweeted at us. I called GA and the Outsiders last week. First proposed name was the Outsiders. which if you don't know is a superhero team that ran with Batman in the 80s, Batman and the Outsiders. Black Lightning was a member of that team at one point. But and it's also commonly used with teenager. It's a teenage team.
I for sure thought he was referring to the novel by S.E. Hinton.
No.
The YA novel. So I was really confused. So I'm glad that you and he both sort of looped me in on what that meant. So, yeah. So well done.
Yeah. So that was cool. And
can you give me just 2 seconds? It's going to take more than 2 seconds to talk about Oliver and Felicity acting like an awesome married couple, and then Felicity's amazing speech to William. I found William a little frustrating this episode with his "you lied to me," whatever. But her sitting him down and saying, "Listen, if you're going to love him, you have to understand that he has to do this, and you just have to believe that he's going to come home." And when she mentioned that she'd loved him since he brought her that bullet-riddled laptop, I melted. And then when you turn to watching the action, she's like, okay, he's going to spin next, and he's going to do this. The whole thing was fantastic. I loved it. I loved them as a married couple. I loved her as the proud, loving, concerned wife. The whole thing worked for me. Last week, I was a little disappointed because they didn't look like newlyweds, and this week it was more than made up for that. So, yeah, I loved that.
Yeah, I also thought the Act 5, the fifth act of this episode, that whole fight scene was very original and a different take. It wasn't just another fight scene. The way they laid it over her talk with William, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the thing you can do every episode, but when you do it, it stands out.
And I'm glad they're still sort of playing with the form like that. It's nice to see that it's not just we're going to choreograph this fight scene, but they shook it up a little, and they added a layer of emotion to it, and it was very good.
Cool.
Okay. Let's see, one little bit of news.
Go for it.
And that is that Katrina Law is returning in episode 16, The Thanatos Guild, in what the showrunners are calling an unforgettable episode that will change Arrow forever.
Yeah, okay.
That feels very much like showrunner hype. I would love to think that it's going to be a huge game-changing episode, but we'll see.
Sure,
Jan.
Yeah, okay, we'll see.
Yep, so that's it for the live action episodes this week. All of them I thought really good, really enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely. So what news do we have from other shows?
Let's see. Legends of Tomorrow all seems to be photos of Constantine on the Wave Rider, which is cool, but not super great for podcasts where you can't see it.
Nope. So like,
go ahead.
Is he in like any kind of action poses? Is he?
Yeah, a lot of trench coat flapping.
Oh, the flap.
Just like the flap.
Does he use like his trench coat as a weapon, like Val Kilmer did in Batman Forever?
Not that I saw. And honestly, that's not the joke I was going to go with when we said the flap. I was going to point out that that's real different than Dr. Manhattan's The Flop. Oh, real different. You're welcome.
Zane.
All right. We have a ton of news for Gotham, actually. Starting with, it is returning March 1st. There's a new trailer out that is sort of an overview of the episodes to come. We get to meet the new Ivy. We see Jerome in action. We see sort of a Batman-y Bruce. And speaking of, David Mazouz, who plays Bruce, gave an interview saying that they're going to introduce the Joker on the show. The way he comes into the show is one of the most brilliant things Gotham has ever done. And that Jerome definitely serves as an inspiration for that. Let's see, other Gotham news. David W. Thompson has been cast as the Scarecrow, taking over for Charlie Tahan, who was recast because he is he's in Ozark, the Netflix show, and will be too busy filming all 10 episodes of Ozark, in which he is a supporting player at best, and therefore couldn't take off to film a couple of episodes of Scarecrow. That is my skeptical voice.
Well, scheduling, these things happen.
Sure.
I mean, I was theorizing that he was a bit of a jerk on the set, which hasn't been disproven yet.
I literally just taught in class that you have, I'm not sure that that's a falsifiable statement. He was a jerk on set. Well, no, he wasn't. Well, can you prove it? So, I think you just made an falsifiable hypothesis. Oh, wow. Okay. More Gotham news. Cameron Bicondova, who plays Selena, says that she and Bruce are going to reconnect this season yet. It's going to be kind of their typically roller coaster kind of ways. And that Selena does not appreciate bad boy Bruce. She's a good judge of character. She sniffs out phonies and she knows that's not really Bruce. So she's going to want him to get it together. Right. And Aaron Richards, who plays Babs, says Babs is going to continue to work to win Tabitha's trust because she needs it because the ladies are all in league together now. And she promises that something interesting and fun happens with Ra's al Ghul. I feel like fun is not a word that you usually apply to Ra's al Ghul.
No.
So, okay. And finally, set photos from Gotham show Penguin and Riddler walking down the street together, looking friendly, not like they're trying to kill each other. So I'm not sure how or when or why that happens, but I cannot wait to find out.
Dream sequence.
Dream. Shape-shifting, body double, flashback. There's a lot of things that could happen. So that's it for Gotham, but I think that's a lot of Gotham.
Okay.
Let's see, tiny little bit about iZombie. We've talked a lot about how this new season is going to be very different because the world knows about the zombies in Seattle. And one tidbit that I thought was a little different than stuff we've reported in the past is that the response from world leaders to the news that Seattle's crawling with zombies is to want to nuke them. And so you're going to have that thread as well. And it just adds to my overwhelming desire to see this new season already. I am so excited. So that's it for iZombie. Krypton has cast Hannah Waddingham as a villain Jax
Ooh. For those who don't know, Jax-Ur is the comic book character that was the basis for General Zod, who was actually first premiered in Superman the movie. So he is a Kryptonian general who gets disgraced, but evidently he's gender swapped.
And for those who don't know, Hannah Waddingham, you think you don't know her, but you do. She was the Shame nun on Game of Thrones. Shame Bell. So I'm kind of sad that her obituary isn't going to just read Shame Nun, but good for her. I'm curious to see her range beyond shame.
Oh, it will.
oh, cool. So this is a good villain. You're excited about this?
Yeah. And and we're getting a new spin on it. So, that's cool. And, and it's also the kind of thing you got to remember, like, this is not Superman. This is Superman's grandpa who's on Krypton. So you're not going to get literal translations. It's going to be kind of like Gotham, although I think it's going to be even more tangential.
I feel like it's not going to have any of the camp of Gotham. Krypton looks very serious.
Oh no. I just mean in the way they introduce comic book
But
elements.
imagine if Krypton was really campy.
No, I don't think David Goyer knows how to do that.
Okay. Last news is totally not news, but it amused me. V for Vendetta news. Remember, we reported, oh my God, months ago, it seems like, that the BBC was talking about maybe doing a V for Vendetta TV show. It's never going to happen. But Twitter woke up one day this week and noticed Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things looks a heck of a lot like Natalie Portman when they both have shaved heads. Millie for Stranger Things, Natalie for V for Vendetta. So if you want to start dreamcasting a show for the BBC that's never going to happen, Millie Bobby Brown for Evie in V for Vendetta.
Yeah,
think about it.
I don't know. I've seen these pictures. To me, they just both have shaved heads. And
yeah, they're girls with cheekbones and no hair.
Yeah, like that's where it ends. And also, like, Millie Bobby Brown would have to age about, she needs probably another decade on her before she could play that part. It would
probably be a decade before we'd see that TV show if we ever do. So
this is true. but it does have a network, so that's something. It's in development. So yeah, that's it for the news.
I think we did pretty well. 10 minutes of show, right?
Yeah. We're at an
High
hour
five.
10. Yeah. There we go. And just in time for our winners of the week.
Okay, so I did kind of an Ed here, and I've pulled out kind of a theme.
Ooh.
And my theme this week is the winner of the week, speechifying. Charlotte in Lucifer got a nice little speech yelling at Pierce. Mon-El in Supergirl had an amazing speech telling her how right and good she is at how she superheroes. And Felicity in Green Arrow had a fabulous speech about how to love a superhero. Great speeches, very different moods with all three of them, but all three of them made me incredibly happy. So speechifying, my winner of the week.
Don't forget Barry's pep talk to Ralph.
That was good too. See, speeches this week, really good speeches.
Yeah, well, actually, it's a fun switcheroo because my winner for the week is Ralph Dibney. Yeah. I thought that character was finally realized. He's finally getting a little bit of respect from Cisco, and he got that
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. He got his first acid burn on the knee. So,
you never forget your first acid burn.
No. So, I think he's starting to get into his head, like, what this job is all about. And I'm really excited to see that character going forward. But yeah. So that's it. Anything else you want to chat up? Anything else you want to call out?
Well, just a periodic reminder that I do recap for EW.com, and I recapped Lucifer and Supergirl this week. So if you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on those shows, you can find those at EW.com or on my Twitter, which is, I guess we'll launch into this, Sarah Netzley, SARANETZLEY. So you can check out the links there.
Yeah. And you could also catch me on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD. I will retweet you. If I don't reply, it doesn't mean I don't love you.
No, it does. It means you somehow you misspelled something or it offended him in some way, and he's just like, nope, dead to me. Dead to me. Block.
You can also follow the show Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com, and be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice. Rate and review us, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. That really helps other people find us. And check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam.